Hello, everyone. This is Bill Van Orsdell from BookFuel. I'm joined tonight for our Wednesday webinar by Amanda Barbara. She's the Vice President at PubSlush, which is a crowdfunding utility for authors. It's fantastic. We had a great talk earlier this afternoon, and I think that Amanda's got a lot of great stuff that she wants to share with us. Amanda, take a moment, if you would, and sort of give us your background and tell us a little bit about the PubSlush mission.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for signing in with us today and listening in on the webinar about a little bit more about crowdfunding for authors. I am the Vice President and one of the co-founders of PubSlush. The other co-founder and president is my mom. We started PubSlush a little over 3 years ago, really with a mission to help the self-publishing author who was taking a bit of a financial risk with publishing their book, spending some money and not sure what their return would be, allowing them to really mitigate some of that financial risk and really proving, the market viability of their book by getting readers to commit to reading it in advance. I am also a big philanthropist. We started a foundation here at PubSlush that supports children's literacy efforts, and we allow all authors to give a percentage of what they make back to the foundation, which is one of the things a lot of our authors love most, is they're able to do social good while helping their own dreams come true. My family, my big Italian family, also started a foundation, the Barbara Family Foundation, which gives back to children's charities in New York State. I've also spoken at a few different conferences all over the world, all about publishing and crowdfunding, and I've also written for a few different contributions. And if you follow me on LinkedIn or you're connecting me with LinkedIn, I post a lot of my content there, so feel free to definitely, if you don't already connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to after, and you can peruse some of the articles I posted recently.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Hey, I want to remind everyone that I'm recording this for playback later, so if you have to leave in the middle of it, that's okay. In about 24 hours, you'll get a reminder email with a link to watch the whole thing. You're welcome to send me or Amanda an email for the slides. I'm going to ask everyone to please be interactive. Throw a question for us up in the question box, and we'll acknowledge who it's from. We'll read it. We'll see if we can't answer it right there. And let me just sort of go through my checklist or my assumptions. So I'm going to assume that if you're on tonight, you've scoped out the budget for producing and marketing your book, and you're thinking about alternative financing, and that's what crowdfunding is. Tonight we're going to talk about crowdfunding. We're going to talk about the various platforms, how to start your campaign, some tips for how to make it successful and generally market it, what kind of rewards you want to look at, and then Amanda is going to take us through some case studies as well. I'm going to play the role of the author tonight and ask some questions as we go through, and Amanda's going to drive our presentation tonight. Amanda, take it away give us the definition of crowdfunding.
Great. Yeah, we're definitely focusing on crowdfunding as an industry tonight during this presentation. Crowdfunding is definitely an up-and-coming industry. It really started picking up momentum in the last 2 to 3 years. It's really about the funding of a project, small amounts of funding by a large amount of people to prove, market viability of a certain project. Tonight we're doing a very big focus only on reward-based crowdfunding. So reward-based crowdfunding is when a campaigner is able to actually give rewards in exchange for someone giving them funding. There are other types of crowdfunding, like donation crowdfunding, where you're just actually donating. You may have seen different people maybe raising money for someone that has a disease, or maybe someone that has lost things in a fire. That's still crowdfunding, but a bit different in regards to that one's more donation-based. You may have heard of sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo that provide platforms for all different types of ideas. So we're going to go through both of those platforms and do a bit of a comparison between them and PubSlush, so you have all the details on how each platform works.
All right, fantastic. So let's get started with the various options that are out there for authors.
Great. Yeah, so the good thing is that me and Bill did this earlier today, so I do know a few maybe points that you guys might bring up, so I'll kind of try and cover that in advance. But I want to start with Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a platform that accepts any type of project. It's pretty well known for high-tech gadgets and different business ventures. They've also been really having up-and-coming fashion designers use Kickstarter as of recently as well. It's definitely a fixed funding model, or they also call it all or nothing. So what that means is if you do not make your goal, you lose all that you've raised. No one gets charged, the money is returned, and you don't receive any of the funding. and they take a 5% platform fee of whatever you make at the end. They also use Amazon payment processing, and that has a 4% fee, I believe, so it totals to around about 9% of what you make at the end. Indiegogo is also similar in that they accept any type of project. They started out as a platform that really focused on film production and really had to focus more in the film industry, and then as they grew, their types of projects grew. They do two models. They have a fixed, similar to Kickstarter, and they take 4%, so if you don't make your goal, you don't receive anything. They also have a flex funding model. So how that one works is that you set your goal. If you make it, you get 4%. If you don't make it, they take 9%, which is definitely a large amount of money. So with them, if you do the 4%, and then they use PayPal credit card processing, so they take about 3.5%, so you have a little bit over 7.5%. If you make your goal, and then if you don't make your goal, it's a little over 12.5%. As you can tell, I'm not a math person. For that, it would be a bit more than, of course, more than 10% for a flex funding with Indiegogo if you don't make your goal. PubSlush, my platform, we are a literary projects platform, so anything that falls into publishing, authors, publishers, agents, editors can use our platform, and we've also seen educational projects, literary magazines, screenplays, so really anything in like the literary publishing sector. We do a flexible funding model as well, but ours is just a little bit different. We let you set a minimum goal and a maximum goal, and that's really was designed with the author in mind. So many authors, maybe they can afford $2,000 for some of their costs, but they would love to, raise another $2,000. But they might say that if they don't make that $2,000, they'll still be able to publish if they, only make $1,000. So as long as you make your minimum goal, and we require it to be at least $500. So if you say my minimum is $500, my maximum is $5,000, as long as you hit that minimum goal, you get to keep anything after that for a 4% platform fee. We use Stripe credit card processing system. It's the most trusted credit card processor in the world. I bet some of the most frequented websites you guys go on use Stripe, and they take 3.5%. So ours is 7.5% total fee.
All right. So one of the things we talked about this morning, I think, is worth talking about here is the concept of if I've got rewards that have fixed costs. So, for example, if I promise for $25, I'll send you a paperback copy with a signed paperback version with a nice inscription inside, I've got to figure out what that paperback is going to cost me to not only produce but to ship. So I've got to, and then I've got to make sure that I tack on the 7.5% or 9.5% or 11.5%, so that if I do a flex funding, I'm actually not having to pay to do this out of my own pocket.
Absolutely, and when we get into rewards in a few slides from now, we'll talk a bit more about how you should really focus on your price structure, but that's definitely something to keep in mind when you're creating your crowdfunding campaign.
And I just have, actually, I have two quick questions of the audience, and I want to throw up a poll real quick. The first one is, we'd like to get a sense for where you are in your process. Are you writing? Are you done? Are you already published? Take a moment and vote on the screen. Just click on one of those little radio buttons with your mouse, and then we'll tally up all the votes, and we'll share it with everyone so they can take a look and see where everyone else is. All right, we've got almost half voted. 10 more seconds for everybody to make up their mind, then I'll go ahead and close out the voting. All right, 5, 4, last chance to vote, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's close it and see what those who voted said. So it looks like we've got 25% of us still writing, 50% done, and 25% already published. Let me ask one more question while we're getting started, which is I just want to get a sense for how familiar we are as a group with crowdfunding. So let me know if this is all new to you, or you've already seen a project on another site, or maybe you've already pledged for another project, or gosh, maybe you've already done a crowdfunding project for a book by itself. Give us a sense, if you would, of where you are.
Can they hit multiple? Or they can
on this one, no. So this one would be sort of progressive. You'd work your way down it.
Okay.
All right, we've got there's 100% voting. That's nice participation. Let's show where everyone is with their familiarity with crowdfunding. So
Oh, okay.
about half, it's new. About 30%, they've actually pledged somewhere, and 14%, they've actually already run one, but not with a book yet. So that's great to see. All right, so I'm going to hide that. I'm going to flip us up to our next. So beginning your campaign. What do I need to do to think about this? If I'm one of those 25% that's still writing my book, what do I think about? What am I doing?
Great. So yeah, so if you're thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign, and for the 25% of you out there that's still writing, what we recommend at PubSlush, and of course, it's definitely circumstantial depending on the author, but we definitely recommend you focus while you're writing on the writing portion of your process. Marketing is super important, and there's definitely things you can be doing during the writing process, but crowdfunding is a very it needs to be dedicated. Your time needs to be dedicated to crowdfunding. We usually recommend anywhere between 3 to 6 months before your publication. Usually, when you're done, and maybe your book's going off to an editor, or your first draft is done, and maybe you just need to do rewrites and things like that, is when you should really start planning for your crowdfunding campaign. And we're going to get into more details about why that's so important in a few slides. So stay tuned for more about that. If you're ready, an established network and audience, and that's in here, but if you don't have that already, don't be scared about crowdfunding, because there's still a lot of authors that have been super successful that haven't had an established network and audience. With that, you just need to know who you'll be reaching out to. Who is your target? Is it just your family? Is it just your friends? Is it people from work? Is it people that have read your blog before? So really knowing who you're going to market to and how many people that might be around about is a great thing going into it. Your willingness to ask for support is really crucial when you're getting ready to start a campaign. Your crowdfunding campaign is a marketing tool. It's a way to really understand who your reader is and how to better market to them once your campaign is over. So if you actually, you spend, hours or days building a crowdfunding campaign, and you also spent probably hours, days, or months writing your book, if you're not willing to actually go out there and ask someone to buy it and read it and write you a review, you probably won't see a lot of success in a crowdfunding campaign. And you have to be ready to treat your book like your business, and it goes back to being an entrepreneur. It's not going to sell itself. There's just so much great content out there right now, and there's so many amazing books for sale, so you need to be able to get your book in front of the eyes of the people you want to buy it. If they see it, they're more likely to purchase it. So you can't assume they'll find it on their own. And there's all little tricks and things we'll teach you throughout this webinar to learn how to better get it in front of your audience. But what you'll need if you do decide this is for you, or you want to try it out, of course it's completely free to try. It's a risk-free option for you to really explore. So if this is something you decide you want to do, you're going to need some basic info about your book, your title, overview, a summary that you would find on the back of the book. You have the option to upload an excerpt, so a first chapter if you'd like. Some images, if supporting images, some people have, great pictures of, if it's a travel book, you have maybe some supporting images you want to throw there. The more visual, the better, and they don't always necessarily have to be directly associated with the book. They could just be a supporting image you think goes with their theme. If your book's about Paris, you could put a great picture of the Eiffel Tower or something like that. A personal video is always really great. It doesn't have to be professionally done, so don't be scared if if you're on a budget, and that's one of the reasons why you're doing your crowdfunding campaign. A lot of our most successful authors did their videos right with their own laptops. They're pretty short videos, 1 minute and 30 seconds. You start with something compelling like a stat, quote, a fact that will really draw your audience in, and then you tell a little bit about your story, followed by a call to action. What do you want them to do when they're done listening to this video? If you really love my story, buy my book. If you buy my book, I'd love for you to share it with family and friends, etc. Reward levels, this is something we're going to, like I said, get into a little bit deeper in a later slide, but they're super crucial in crowdfunding. They're a way to offer something to your audience that they wouldn't be able to find in a bookstore or on Amazon. It's a way you can package something nicely together. We've had people that have written a book but also create jewelry on the side and package something really beautiful together. Maybe they relate, maybe they don't, but it's a way to offer something personal. And a marketing plan, and that's where we're going to head into in the next slide.
A question for you, Amanda, is because you've obviously PubSlush has done a ton of these now. How critical? Let's say I'm camera shy and I've got a face made for radio, right? So how critical is it that I do a video and that I star in it? You must have some success correlations with elements of the campaigns. Is that vital for me?
Bill, I can never see you being camera shy, but if you were camera shy, I would suggest there are plenty of authors that have actually done video with not their face and only with with their voiceover, maybe images or pictures or words. So if that's something if you're more creative, maybe your daughter, son, husband, wife, aunt, uncle, they're better on like with a iMovie or something along those lines, and you can make a really great video without you sitting in front of a camera. Those are great too. I mean, one of our best campaigns, not necessarily money-wise, but supporter number-wise, she actually made it on her iPhone, and she posted pictures and told her story and actually put them on her wall and told the story walking the camera through the pictures, and she was the voiceover. And it wasn't really high quality, but I mean, at the end, she had me in tears. And I mean, our office all supported her book because it was just such a compelling story behind the video. So there are definitely ways you can get around if you're camera shy. There's definitely ways you can get around if you just want to not really be involved. But I do think that it's great for a reader to see the face behind the name. So I think that if you aren't camera shy, it's great to do it. But if you are, there's ways to get around it for sure.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so I've got my campaign started. Oh, wait, we've got a question. Christina jumps in. She says, what exactly should I tell them why I need them to donate? To buy the book, for example? Do they have to donate or buy the book? So we'll talk about different ideas for rewards, Christina, but that's a good question. So I'm in my video. What do I tell them to get them to like me and donate and support me?
So I think the biggest thing I want to correct really quickly is the word donate. No one is donating at all during this campaign. Donation means you're giving money with nothing in return, like when we donate to charities and things like that. This is essentially, think of it as them pre-ordering your book. You know, for $20, they get a copy of your book. For maybe $10, they get a copy of your ebook. So this is not a donation. When you're in your video, you would want to maybe say things like, you know, it's been my life dream to be a published author. I really enjoy writing, and I'd love to see you read my work. I'd love to see my story be read. I think that it's important for people to take time to do what they really enjoy, and I've done that. And without your support, I can't bring this book to life. Publishing is a long road and it is expensive, and I want to make sure that I am making the best quality book possible, because without funding, the quality will be really low. With these few videos I mentioned earlier, one of them was a grieving mother. She had lost a child, and she had said, I'm writing this to motivate and inspire other grieving mothers, a book that maybe I would have wished I would have had during my time. We had another girl wrote a memoir about her father who had a traumatic brain injury, and she had a video basically sharing that when she was a child going through the journey, there were no books. There were a lot of books for TBI survivors, but no books for children of TBI survivors. So she wrote the book to help other kids like her cope, to get over it, to move past it, or to learn how to live with it. So they're all motivations. Every book and every video is going to be different. So you just have to find what your niche is, your hook, your message.
Yeah, and so I think, and then I want to let you get on with marketing campaign, but when I went to look through the PubSlush site and look through some campaigns that might be fun to support, I thought there were a lot of creative reward levels for participation in a project that didn't necessarily deliver me a book. I mean, they're the $1 thank you. I was kind of tickled by that. So let's when we get to the rewards, let's talk about some ideas for them.
Great. Yeah, we definitely will. We have someone that did Angela Miller's campaign, one of our case studies later on tonight. She did for $1, it just said every dollar counts. And that was really compelling. And I know that she definitely got people that gave the $1 just to be a part of the every dollar counts, and then went back and actually purchased the book. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like one of those, like hidden messages that it really did mean that every dollar did count. So there are definitely things you can do, but don't be scared about the rewards. That's the fun part.
Fantastic. All right, marketing your campaign.
marketing your campaign is definitely the most crucial part, not only in crowdfunding, but for marketing your book before publication. So for the 50% out there listening, these slides are even more directed at you because this is the phase that you're at. You're at the marketing phase. How quickly or how much we all want to go and press that publish button, and be on Amazon or be on Barnes & Noble, but it takes about 120 days at least to really come up with a great marketing plan. So when you do hit those e-commerce sites, you're able to actually sell books. So number one, first and foremost, the first bullet here is develop a day-to-day marketing plan before you launch your campaign. That means that's a good way to help you not get overwhelmed by the process. It's a way to actually outline, what things are going to hit on what days. Maybe you have a blog post that's going live. Maybe you have some other great people tweeting about you. Maybe you have a newsletter blast, or maybe you have a LinkedIn post scheduled or something like that. So if you have a little thing every single day to help you promote and help you get your campaign out there, it'll be less daunting and overwhelming, especially since a lot of writers, they have other things going on, possibly other jobs, families. So this is a way to really help you get organized. My other biggest recommendation, and I say this to every single person I meet, is that when you do launch your campaign, the day one, before you announce it to the world and put it on all your social media, it's super important to get about 5 to 10 initial supporters to fund it first. And the reason I say that is the second you post it on your Facebook, many will click it. And we actually at PubSlush, we track it, so we're able to tell you how many unique clicks you got from different people. And we see a lot of authors that post it. Don't take my advice. They post it everywhere. They get, 600 hits in the first day, but they're still at $0. And it's because you really need someone, and maybe not just one person, 4 or 5, 6 people to really get you started, because no one wants to be a part of something that no one else is a part of. They want to be a part of that momentum. So our advice is really find, recruit, go to those people in advance. Let them know you're doing this. Let them know that you need their support out of the gate. Maybe it's, maybe it is even your husband, and that's okay. But get that piggy bank kind of started for your campaign, so other people feel really excited to be a part of your book journey. Making organic connections prior to campaign launch and also prior to publication is really crucial. We see on Twitter and Facebook all the time, like just tweets that say, buy my book. That doesn't seem really, if I saw that, I'd be like, ooh, and I see it all the time. I'd rather someone say, I really think you love this because of all these different reasons. Or maybe people want to follow you because you post really interesting things. So when you do post about your campaign or about your book, they're more inclined to check it out because they really like you as a person. You've made an organic connection with them. But knowing your audience is huge. I gave an example earlier today about, you wouldn't go to a romance blog for your sci-fi novel. And it's about really using different outlets that already have an established audience to get your message out there, to reach a bigger, relevant network. And that's really important. So, when you're doing your research, when you're finding out, who your ideal readers would be, it's great to go to those different communities, those different websites or bloggers, and reach out to them to see if they're interested in really covering it and helping you share your message. The last bullet is connecting with organizations. So that actually goes back, and I'm going to give the example I talked about before about the traumatic brain injury book. She had a very great story to tell, and it was something that hadn't been done before. So she actually contacted local traumatic brain injury organizations. She lived in New York and she was from Pittsburgh, so she contacted those organizations. She got her foot in the door there and she shared her message, and they really supported her, and they actually let her put her book in their newsletter. They sent out an email blast on her behalf, and they shared it on social media. And that was a really unique situation, but that does work for different books. It's not going to work for every book, but if you do find your niche or an organization that might be interested in working with you, and of course always start locally. Smaller, more niche organizations that have a community-driven platform will be more inclined to share because they want to support people within their own community as well. So definitely keep that in mind when you're starting to do research for your marketing and promotion for your campaign.
Okay, fantastic. So we talked about rewards before, the do's and don'ts of building your rewards.
Yeah, so let's definitely dive into this because I think a lot of people definitely have questions about the rewards. And like I said before, think of your rewards as packages, things you're going to give in exchange for financial support. So you want to offer a range. You want to make sure that you are not, just giving one reward for $20. Because if I clicked in and say Bill was, crowdfunding for his book, and I was like, I know Bill, but I'm not sure I want to read this book. I don't know if I want to give $20 to Bill, but I think I'd be able to give 10. I think 10 is something I feel comfortable with giving. But he doesn't have a $10 reward, so maybe I just leave because 20 is too much for me, or vice versa. Maybe it's 10 and I want to give 20. So you want to make sure you're spreading out your monetary value support, and make sure you're giving different options at different levels and making sure you're providing value. You also never want to create something that you don't know people will actually want. But knowing your audience is crucial here. But definitely tap into your personal professional skills when building your rewards. We've seen people that have given, yoga instruction because they're a yoga teacher, or people that have given one-on-one consultations because that's part of their business model, or they've packaged, a few of their other books. Maybe a few of their readers are first-time readers of this author, but they've published 2 other books before. It's great to actually have, for X amount of dollars, you get all 3 of my books, signed copies, discover by mentions in the back of the book. So this book was brought to you by, and then all the names. We've also seen people send really great letters with the books thanking, listing all their supporters and giving a thank you. So there's a lot of different ideas here that can work and get people really excited to donate. But also I want to just touch on right here the guerrilla rewards. Limited time offers are really, really exciting in crowdfunding, meaning if you want to offer your ebook, maybe you want to do 20 ebooks at $5, a flash, right when you kick off the campaign. And then once those 20 are gone, you list it then at $10, and the rest are all at 10. So it gives the people that get there early, that get there first, it entices them to not wait until the last day or the last 48 hours. You really want to create that initial momentum right out of the gate. The first 3 to 4 days are the most important to get people really excited about donating. And then to go back to Bill's point earlier today about cost effective. Now, if your print book is going to cost you, $4 to print and $3 to ship, you wouldn't want to just place it on PubSlush at $8. You would want to really maybe price it at maybe $15 to $16. You want to make sure you're making it, doing the math of what percentage you're going to make after you fulfill the reward, and after, we take our 4%. You want to make sure that you're making, set a goal for yourself, set a budget, lay out all the cost of your reward. So how much is it going to cost you to fill it once you, fill them and ship them? What's that cost look like, on average per reward? And then how much do you want to make profit? So if you know going into it that you got 20 people to donate the $20 reward, you're walking away with, X amount of dollars after that is filled. So doing your math and homework is definitely crucial here.
And a question for you, Amanda. So we talked about limited time offer. And that actually sort of more what you described sound like almost a limited quantity offer. Would you recommend making sure that you launch with all reward levels visible, or do you hide some and then release them later, or do you add some later as momentum builds? Give us a sense of that.
You can always add some rewards, and I think that's another great way to kind of create another whole buzz. It's a way to send another email blast out. I always say, too, it's kind of fun to launch without your video or without your, final cover design, because it's a great way to send out another email and let people know, you know what, here's my final cover design that we just decided on today. Check it out on my, PubSlush page and pre-order the book today. So it's another great way to kind of start the conversation up again. And like you said, maybe you roll out with 5 rewards, and then in the middle you roll out, a sneaky reward or a last-minute reward. So those are all things, different tactics. It just depends on the crowdfunder, the author, and what they have to offer.
Mm-hmm. Another question for you, and actually I'm going to jump in with Christina's question first, and she's actually back one slide. She sent this right when we switched. She said, when you were talking about reaching out to organizations, niche organizations, she asked, do you have any ideas for children's books? Of course, the first idea that popped in my head was schools, but maybe you've got some other ideas about where crowdfunders have reached out to organizations to support their children's books.
Well, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I've actually worked with several children's authors that we've come up with packages for schools. So if you go into your local elementary school or, surrounding elementary schools and you kind of go to, you would maybe start with the main office, head to the principal and see about, coming in to actually offer, you doing a reading or you selling X amount of copies to the school or something along those lines, or if they buy 5, you'll donate 5 or whatever the case might be. And giving your time, giving your time is a huge thing, especially in schools. Children love to meet the author. We've seen authors do things like maybe they'll buy 1 copy for the classroom, they'll pay you for your time to come in and read to the kids, they'll sign the book, and they'll give every kid in the classroom a bookmark. They also have done things where they send out a flyer. This definitely takes some planning, but it definitely can be done. But they send out a flyer with the kids, let them know that you're coming in like 2 to 3 weeks, and if the kids want a copy for you to sign when you're in the classroom, they would pre-order it. The teacher would go on your crowdfunding campaign and order, like X amount. Maybe you have a student package or something along those lines. Or they could, and that maybe it would be for a lower fee, a classroom fee or something like that. And you would build your reward based on the feedback you're getting. So if you go to 6 schools and no one's interested, I wouldn't just create that reward because you don't have anyone you're driving the traffic to. But I think schools is a really great fit. It also just depends on what your book is about. I mean, I've seen books that focus on, we work with a publisher that focuses all about, books that educate kids on the environment. So they do a lot of things with the environment and giving back with organizations that have to do with that and getting children involved with like going green and the earth. So that's a different idea and a different outlet. Of course, your local library is huge too. Doing readings at your local library might take some time, of course, takes time for you out of your day, but if you can sell copies of your book at the end, if the library will let you sell them and sign them, you can sell books right in the spot. That doesn't necessarily apply to your crowdfunding campaign, but it's a great way to get into your community, and it's a great way to actually, do things that way. Or if your question was just for children's books, but we've also seen a lot of people do things with book clubs. So if you have, a great book that you think would be a great book club book, you would market it to different book clubs in your community, and you would create maybe a book club package, and then you could actually Skype in, or if it's in your community, you go to the book club and they could actually ask you questions. So there's a lot of different ways. These are just some that I'm legitimately thinking off the top of my head. But Christine, if you have any more specific questions, I would love to chat with you either on the phone or via email, and we can brainstorm some great ways.
Fantastic. So, now we're getting into the nuts and bolts. I'm going to launch a campaign. I want to make sure it's successful. What are the must-dos?
So a lot of these are kind of just reiterating a lot of the points in my previous slides, but they're that important that I think that they need to be here. Pre-campaign research. Plan, 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 plan. Do not leave this webinar and say, I'm going to launch my campaign tomorrow. Absolutely not. It takes a prep. It takes organization. It takes a planning and a strategy to be successful. And that's the same with also marketing your book for publication, not just crowdfunding. All of these things I'm talking with you tonight are not just about crowdfunding. They definitely apply to your publishing efforts as well. Targeting your audience, knowing who your reader is, maybe possibly getting some beta readers and letting your beta readers tell you who they think would like it, who they think the target audience would be. Getting help deciding is definitely a huge thing. And also your crowdfunding campaign, because we provide you with all the analytics at the end, it's great to know, what's the male versus female ratio, what's the age here, where are they located. So you can do a better job marketing your book to a more targeted audience after you have very great concrete physical data. We already talked about building momentum on day one. If you were to head to PubSlush right now, you'll see a lot of authors that are at 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. They're creating that momentum. And the ones that are sitting at 0 have not done anything. They haven't sent a tweet or an email, and that's why they're at 0. So that momentum day one is really crucial. And of course, number 4, don't be timid. Bill, I know you've heard this story already, but I'm going to share it again because I think it's a really exciting, compelling story. We had an author on the site. His name was Matt. He had a really amazing children's book, actually, and it was on the site, and it was a children's Christmas book, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was I actually wanted to order a copy for my niece and nephew, and I could not understand how he couldn't leave 0. I just didn't understand why he wasn't making any money. So I picked up the phone, I called him, and I just said, what's going on? Why are you still at 0? And he said, to be honest, Amanda, I haven't told anyone. about my campaign, not one person. I built it, but it just has been sitting there. So, you know, he said I was scared, I was embarrassed, I didn't want to tell anyone, I didn't want to promote it, I didn't want to share it. So we held his hand, you know, through the phone, and we kind of calmed him down, and we got him really excited with all the great marketing tips that we just came up with right on the fly, things he could do when he hung up the phone with us, things that why he shouldn't be scared. And he was actually the minister of a Lutheran church, so we came up with like a great canned food drive. This was around the holidays. We came up with a canned food drive for everyone that donated. We came up with really great marketing ideas, and within 48 hours, he had made $3,000. And because of his PubSlush campaign, he actually got picked up by a Christian publisher through the PubSlush platform. So he has a really great story, and if he would have never left zero, he would have never gotten that traditional deal that he ultimately wanted. So it does take it does take work, it does take time, but it does take that leaving the gate, not being shy and sharing your story, which really helps take you to that next level. But make sure you're being personal in your approach. You know, if you send a mass email saying, hi everyone, every time you reach out, people are going to think it's spam, people might not read it, people are busy, they'll delete it. Same thing with a Facebook post or tweet. So if you really are serious about this book, if you're really serious about making some dollars during this campaign, you might need to pick up the phone or send some text messages. You might need to send some personal Facebook messages. You know, be personal. You know, hey Bill, you know, how's everything going out there on the West Coast? Haven't seen you since Charleston. Hope all is well. Wanted to share my campaign with you. I think you'd really love the story. Check it out. Love your support. And if you don't think that you would like the story, I would love for you to share it with some of your family and friends that you think might enjoy it. So making sure that you really are sincere in your approach, because you want people to want to read your book and want to support you. And then number 6 is probably the hands down most crucial step of the whole process after pre-campaign research, of course. Making sure that you're updating the supporters or readers of your book, the ones that have given you money up front. So maybe that after the first 3 days, maybe you have 100 supporters, which would be amazing. And now you see that you are at day 7 and you haven't left 100 supporters, and you don't understand why. You have tapped all your resources, you emailed everyone, and you're just not moving. What we recommend you do is take the people that have already supported you, have already taken their credit cards out of their wallet, believe in your story, and ask them to share your message with their, you know, maybe 5 or 10 friends that they think would love the story as well. And when you're doing that, make sure it's easy. Make sure you're having, you know, maybe you put an email template with all the links built in, or maybe you send, you know, a sample Twitter, 2 or 3 tweets that they can put out. The easier you can make it for them, the more likely they're going to do it, because all they need to do is really copy and paste it and send it to 4 or 5 people. So that's a crucial one, making sure you leverage the support of your current supporters. And then we already talked about some enticing rewards, but let me know if anyone has any questions about any of those 7 tips.
All right, fantastic. Let's talk about some case studies. What? And I assume these are all successful. Tell us what they did.
Yes, the first one is by Angela Miller. She wrote "You're the Mother of All Mothers." I am so happy to say that not only is she an author in our community and one of the most passionate women I've ever met, but she's also become a dear friend of mine. She came to us with this book. It was really an idea phase at the time, and this is the one I spoke about. She had a book that she wanted to write for grieving parents to really help cope with the loss of a child, because she had lost a child in a really, really tragic accident. So she came to us. She had set her goal. I believe it was $10,000. She set her goal, and she was, you know, really, you know, she hit the ground running. She took all of the PubSlush tips we gave her, made a plan, implemented them all. She also had built a dedicated Facebook following of grieving parents before she started her campaign. So that was a really great advantage for her, that she had, you know, it wasn't huge. I think it was maybe about 300 or 400 at the time. They didn't know her. They weren't her friends. She couldn't call them up, but there were people that, you know, liked her Facebook page. So at the end of her campaign, Angela was able to raise over $13,000. She had over 200 readers. And when she exported all of her reader data from PubSlush, she was able to go through and see that 70% of the people that supported her on PubSlush were complete strangers. And she really credited to taking all of our advice of, you know, asking her 30% to really help her get more support, to really drive traffic. and I think she had 70% were strangers, $13,000, but she actually had 6,000 unique visitors to her book page during her campaign time. And that means that many people, saw her name, possibly read her summary, saw her overview, maybe watched her video. So this was all great for her because she was really able to get her message out. And she offered really great rewards as well. And if you guys want to check out what she offered, she's in our Discover tab under Successful Authors. That's where you could find Angela Miller. So if you guys want to check that out.
That's fantastic. All right, case study number 2.
So this is Kathy Pooler. She was a fan of PubSlush from the day we started, and she actually, she has a really great blog, so she featured us there. It was really targeted for writers, and during the last 3 years, she was writing her memoir, kind of under the table. I actually didn't even know she was writing it. So she was able to reach over $2,500. Her goal was about $2,000. So she made her goal. She just wanted to cover her editing and printing costs. So she didn't want to make too much money. But the reason why this is such an interesting case study, not because of the money, but because of how she got there. She had not as much money, but many more supporters. And it was really because she built an established network through her blog before she even launched the book. The blog was really dedicated to writers. She's told some compelling stories of her own, but she was able to really promote the blog and get a following that way. And then she also was very active in a memoir community. If anyone's out there that's writing a memoir, the National Association of Memoir Writers, which is led by Linda Joy Myers, she's an amazing woman, and she really helps authors. She's based in California, but authors all over the U.S. and worldwide help really learn how to write their memoir correctly. Maybe it's something that they won't ever finish, but could be a coping mechanism. I know Kathy Pooler was in a very emotional, abusive relationship, so this helped her, and she really developed a strategic marketing plan right from the get-go. But she was a prime example of that, got friends and family to contribute before she shared it on her blog and in the memoir community, and that's what led to other people donating. So I do think that some of the tips you're learning tonight, you're seeing these people definitely executed and saw success, and it's definitely met their goal, if not went beyond their goal.
Yeah, I want to jump back to the previous case for just a moment. Did you say that, this was
Angela.
Angela. Did you say that Angela got to download her supporter data?
Yep. So that's
that
something
common?
that makes us. So yes, that's what makes us extremely different than Kickstarter and Indiegogo. We let you export all your user data. So because you want to be able to email them if you need to get in touch with them. You want to be able to see if they'll follow you on Twitter so they can become a reader of yours, not only just for one book but for life. You've done the marketing, you've done the work to get those readers, so you deserve to know who they are. So we let you export all of your reader data, and that's something that the other two platforms do not let you do.
Wow. Okay. That's huge. So let's talk about number 3.
Oh, can I just, one quick thing really quick,
Yep.
just to go back to Angela, I forgot to mention this. Because of her crowdfunding campaign and all the steps that she did during this, her campaign was 45 days. During this 45-day period, she was able to sell over 200 books on PubSlush, and then she's actually, I talked to her yesterday, she sold, since June 29th, when her book was published, she has sold over 1,200 copies of her book to date as a first-time author. And she really credits the fact that she had the momentum and the people buzzing about the book. Even when her campaign was over, people were emailing her saying, I missed your campaign, how can I order the book? How can I order the book? So it's that marketing and that buzz, that momentum that you're creating that everyone wants to be a part of before you publish that helps you get those 1,200 orders when the book actually hits publication day.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Let's talk about number 3. Shannon.
Here's our last case study for tonight. Shannon's actually still currently live on the site, so you guys can actually check out her live campaign right after the show if you'd like. She's actually has surpassed the number here on. She's actually already a little over $3,000 and more than 100 supporters as of today. Shannon, the reason I picked her as a case study is because Shannon did something that I haven't seen done yet with a PubSlush author. She actually hosted a campaign book kickoff party. She invited family and friends. She got the venue to give the space for free. She charged at the door, so it was like X amount of dollars for an open bar. I think it was something very low, like $30, all you can drink for 2 hours. She had raffle prizes to give out to everyone that attended for free. And because this event was in New York, the PubSlush team actually got to attend, and we walked around with iPads the whole night, getting people to support on the spot. And we had over 45 supporters, over $1,000 committed on day one of her campaign. It was great because everyone there got to know about her book and her story. It was great because they all got to pre-order a copy. And it was great because it really started the really great momentum of her campaign right from the get-go. She had really well planned out rewards, and she had a niche audience. Her book is about public school teachers and her final days, just the struggles that she saw in the public school system. So she was able to really rally around fellow teachers in the public school community that she worked with to really stand behind her and promote the book. And she still has, I think, over 20 days left. So she, I don't think she's done yet. I think she'll get a bit closer to her goal ultimately because, people do wait to the last minute to do these things. So I think she'll see a nice big pickup towards the last week of her campaign.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And, so I see her goal of $15,000. Is it common and is it a good practice on my campaign to tell my supporters what the money that I'm going to raise will go towards?
So for Shannon, I know that she deliberately set her goal for $15,000 for a few different reasons. I actually haven't been working with Shannon. My author relations coordinator has, but I think it's definitely great to outline what the funds will be used for because people are more compelled to give if they know where they're going to. If you're going to say, if I hit that $15,000 mark, I'm going to take a vacation. Yeah, no one wants that at all. So, if you definitely share where the money's going, maybe it's going to your editor, maybe it's going to a marketing, a publicity person for 3 months, whatever the case might be, lay it out. Let people know what you're doing. And we talked earlier today, me and Bill, about also creating, stretch goals. So if you say, okay, for Shannon, if she would have said maybe my goal is $5,000, and it was a little bit more, attainable for her, she could have had stretch goals of $10,000 and $15,000 and kept the momentum going with trying to hit those additional goals. I definitely don't recommend setting your goal too high. I think when you set the goal too high, it could be scary and overwhelming and maybe a bit disheartening for the author, and you want to basically be very excited to be promoting this the whole time. But with that being said, we've had many, many authors hit, $10,000 plus dollars, so it's 100% doable. But you do have to remember the creating rewards that will help you get to that number. If you only have, if your highest reward is $50, do the math. How many people have to commit for $50 to get you there? And will that be the most common reward? Probably not. The most common reward is usually around $20, the most common. So do the math. If everyone gives it $20, how many people have to give for you to get there? So just planning is definitely crucial.
Yeah. We had a question in the webinar earlier this morning. I thought I would just repeat it today because I thought it was a pretty good one. One of our attendees asked, hey, all this money that I raised through a crowdfunding campaign, do I have to report it to the IRS? And I think the bottom line is, I'm not a tax attorney, but I think the bottom line is that since this is a reward-based campaign and you're giving something of value, whether it's material or not, essentially you're going to treat all this inbound money as revenue for services or products delivered. So it'll go into the hopper of all of your income related to your book. Of course, especially if you're sending out printed books or you're doing other things, there's costs involved in fulfilling some of the rewards. But yes, you've got to keep track of all this when it comes in, and you probably are going to report it as part of your business of your book. Does that sound right, Amanda?
Yep, absolutely. And just remember that the income is the money you make after you fulfill your reward. So if you make $10,000, but you spend $5,000, giving everyone what they paid for, that's not necessarily your income. So just make sure you talk to an accountant or someone that helps you with your taxes to make sure that you're doing what's necessary and legal.
Exactly. So we've got some time for some more questions. If anyone wants to throw a question up in the question bar, Amanda or I, probably Amanda, would love to take a stab at it. We're happy to do what we can. Let me look at my questions from this morning to see if there are any other ones that we missed. This morning, one of the things that you talked about, I had asked you, okay, I've got a pretty big family, and I'm going to see him at a wedding this summer. And, maybe I time this so that I can, head around after the ceremony at the reception and tell everybody to go check out my campaign. And maybe that's all I need. Or I think you came up with a much better use with that family network, which is to try and make this go viral and ask for their support to tell more people.
Yeah, I call it mini viral because actually going viral is insane, and it's probably not possible unless you're like Beyonce. So I call it mini viral, and what mini viral to me means is having everyone in your network buzzing about it all at the same time. So if you can get, if you have 100 Facebook friends and on the same, 24 to 48 hour span, everyone's sharing it and everyone's creating this momentum, that's when more and more, if 5 people are sharing the same link, you really want to see what's going on here. You want to click that link. And then you want to read a little bit about it, and then you're like, wow, there's already $1,000 there. Wow, this book looks really great. You know what? I want this book. I'm going to give $20. You're not asking for huge amounts of money. You're not asking them to invest in you for life. You're asking them to pre-order your book. So I think that goes back, Bill, to what we were talking about before, just really the importance of using the people that really believe in you and want your book, and hopefully they'll continue to help you spread the message.
Okay, we've got a couple of other questions here. I want to throw them in here. Christina says, Amanda, could you share your phone number to call you after the conference, please? Or should I just email you first? And Christina, I want to let you and everyone on the conference know that because PubSlush helped us market this today, and because Amanda, I think, has got an offer she wants to send out of a code, that we're going to supply your email address to her, unless right now, throw me up a comment or a chat or whatever that says, no, don't give my email address to Amanda. So we'll make it easy for her to follow up with you.
I promise I won't spam you.
Thank you, Amanda.
I promise I won't spam you, but I'm going to send you some really fun stuff to check out. Christina, I would love for you to email me. I'm actually in New York, so I'm on East Coast time, and I'm actually still in the office and haven't eaten dinner, but I would love to chat with you via email and on the phone tomorrow, anytime. I'm pretty open, and that goes for anyone. Please send me an email, and we can set up a time to chat. And any questions you have right now or after the webinar, I would love to chat via email also, and answer your questions. I will be sending out a special offer for a free guide for successful crowdfunding for you guys to download, which will give you just more information, even more than we covered today. I hope everyone thinks this was super helpful, and for everyone that's, and whether you're in the writing phase, whether you're in the I've written but I haven't published, or whether you published, PubSlush is a community where we connect all of those people in one place. So if you've published already and you're thinking, I might want to do this for my next book, there are definitely opportunities to get you involved in our community now. We have an amazing blog. That link is just blog.pubslush.com, and that just, we let all great authors write for us all the time, and that gets a lot of great attention. So there's definitely amazing ways to get your works in front of the right people. So we'll find the right way to work with you.
And then I've got another comment, might be a question here from Sue Johnson, and she says that she's interested in more information on publishing photography books.
So we've had a few photography books. So PubSlush accepts all genres, fiction, nonfiction, any type of project, like I said before, in the publishing space. Photography books are, first of all, amazing, and I love them, and I have a few on my coffee table. But they're just definitely a bit pricey, and they're more expensive to lay out. They're more expensive to print. They require coloring. So that's definitely something. I have a few different companies that we work with that help photography authors. So if you're looking for a company to work with, and if that's the question, I can definitely connect you. If you're looking to crowdfund, your rewards would have to be a bit different. Hands down, they're going to have to be different than what you would see on a paperback fiction book that's 200 pages, that's black and white. So either way, please let me know if you have further questions in regards to your photo book. But we've seen it happen. We've seen people be successful, and I hope it's beautiful. It's probably going to be an amazing book.
And Amanda, earlier you mentioned, this morning you mentioned, I can't recall if you mentioned it this evening, the concept of a soft start, say on a Sunday or a Monday, and then your full effort. I think you did talk about get yourself some immediate supporters before you go wild with everyone. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, Bill. Bill asked me this morning about But we already talked about having a few supporters. But he was asking me what day of the week was actually the best time to launch. And I thought that was a really interesting question because this is all based on like what we've seen to be successful. And it really, obviously, of course, depends on who your audience is. You know, if you're marketing to people that you know have a really busy work week Monday to Friday and aren't really at their computer for personal reasons, then, I mean, that's definitely, you have to know your audience hands down. But I definitely recommend doing your soft launch on a Sunday or Monday. You know, when people are home, they have a bit more time, and Monday, for those people that are more close to you, that you can actually reach out via text or email or phone and say, I'm live, I'm not telling anyone but you, can you please get there first? And then midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I find is the best days to do your great big launch. It's when people are caught up after the weekend. It's when they have more time to look at personal things, and it's a way to really get in their boxes, not right after the weekend. And, of course, I wouldn't recommend doing it on a Friday because if you're like me, on a Friday, you're kind of a little bit more checked out personally and professionally. So midweek is definitely a great time to go aggressive with your big launch, your loud launch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and we don't have any more questions in the chat box, but I have one more I want to finish up with. Amanda, you have mentioned how PubSlush talks with authors and assists them and suggests things. And is that a formal deal? Is that an add-on? Is that you do that for everybody? Tell me more about that, because it sounds like, frankly, you all have a lot of expertise in-house that can help an author be successful.
Bill, thanks. That was so nice. We very, very much pride ourselves on personalized service. It's one of the things that my mom and I, one of the reasons why we started the company is because we just felt that this is a really complicated industry. There's a lot of places you can go. There's a lot of outlets, and it can get a little bit confusing, especially if you're self-publishing and doing it on your own. So, yes, we offer a bit more personalized service, more than any other crowdfunding platform, but we definitely do go above and beyond, especially for our successful authors. We do, if you send us an email in our hello box, we answer it right away. We send you a lot of great documents, like a pre-campaign checklist, which I'll send to all of you guys so you can have a copy. We provide our guide, a few different things that will help an author. But we also have a program called PubSlush Prep. PubSlush Prep is completely optional, but it's a paid program. It's a program that has a very low fee, and they're tiered. So the lowest fee is $50, and the highest fee is $250. So obviously it's not a huge expense, but that really helps you give you full access to our team. It gives you phone time, it gives you a marketing plan, it gives you a social media plan, it gives you rewards. We build your rewards with you. It gives you many different tools. It gives you a free blog post, not free, but gives you a blog post feature on our site. There's just a lot of things, and you can actually check out our PubSlush Prep program on our site. It's pubslush.com/prep, P-R-E-P, and it lists all the different levels there. But that's if you really want that extra hand-holding, that extra hands-on. I'll be honest, it's great to have a team behind you, whether it's the PubSlush community, whether it's BookFuel and WaveCloud, whether it's, there's other great companies out there. It's great to have other people to ask questions, maybe take a look at your cover. I met someone at BEA last month, whatever, May it was, who came and brought me her book that was just published and fresh off the press, and she asked for my opinion, and I told her that it was missing a few things. She didn't have her barcode, she didn't have her ISBN on it, she didn't have a summary, and she had, about 1,000 of these printed. So it's great to have other people in the industry have their eyes on it. Ask your sister or your brother to take a look at your book. You can always get a sample copy of what your book's going to look like. Make sure the paper is in stark white. Make sure compare it to other books you love. That's my biggest recommendation. Pick the book that you love, how it looks, and make sure your book looks like it, and that it looks professional, high quality. And that doesn't cost more money. You just have to make sure you're knowing what the questions are to ask when you're publishing. I mean, that's like something that Bill and his team can help you with too, making sure you're producing the highest quality book. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yes, fantastic.
We're very hands-on. We want to help you. We want to make you successful.
Absolutely. I can hear it, Amanda. Thank you so much. Hey, and thanks everybody for joining tonight. Again, Amanda, this was some great information. I know I learned a lot today about crowdfunding for authors that I didn't know about before, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to join us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. And again, guys, my email's right here on that last slide. So Bill will be sending you guys all an email tomorrow with my info for all that didn't attend. But My email here is just amanda@pubslush.com for anyone that's not listening live. And I really look forward to working with some of you great authors and having you join our community in any capacity.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening and good night.